we make money. We're pretty good at being efficient and profitable, but that who cares? Have good lives and take care of our families, but also impact other people, just have relationships because you can't buy that.
Welcome to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping overwhelmed outdoor living professionals, landscapers, and hardscapers just like you increase your closing rate to over 75% without doubling your workload so you can build a seven-figure business that doesn't need you. I'm your host, Joshua Gillow. Let's dig in. Hey everybody, I'm excited this week. I have the owner of Inca Stone in the Pittsburgh area. His name's Alex Bulow. He's with us and he's going to be sharing all about his sales system. And he's in a unique spot in his business where he's starting to grow and wanting to hire that first salesperson. So we're going to hear about how that's going and what kind of process he has in place. And he's live from the office in the truck. So Alex, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you, man. I mean, just talking here before we hit go and just talking about how you're, working from the truck today. It's springtime. Things are going crazy. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in your world right now.
So what's going on in our world is year 4 of official business, but year 20 some of industry.
Got it.
And, had to figure it out pretty quick about 3 to 4 years ago. And so I just, said yes to every project, sold everything I could sell from a $70 cleanup to a $300,000 backyard. It didn't matter. And then, like everybody, we started to refine that stuff.
Yeah.
And needed a little help in the field or in the office. So I actually hired a salesperson to help me out last year. And the funny thing is, I didn't have a process to train him on. So Gabe and I are literally working through this together. And good thing he's a good guy, and we can butt heads all the time respectfully. But we're figuring it out, and some stuff has come to light that we're learning, and some stuff has come to light that we're just going to leave behind as the stuff that I was doing before. So that's kind of where we're at. We're in the middle of heavy learning.
That's good.
But it's all good.
Of course. That's the thing about business. There's never a day that goes by that you don't learn something, right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to, specifically when you don't want to. So,
yes.
So Alex, you mentioned this is year 4 or 5 for you.
The LLC was formed July of 21. So this would be
Got
4.
it.
Yep.
Got it. Perfect.
Yep.
And what's an average design build project for you guys?
So yeah, it's great question. How you average it? Last year was $6,000 to $600,000. So
Okay.
somewhere in the middle. I would say most average is 80 to 120, but man, we just don't have a niche, a target market or a specific project size that we like. Honestly, it's do I want to work for you? And is it cool? And will it keep the wheels turning? So, I mean, full transparency, yesterday I sold a commercial retaining wall rebuild for a couple grand. And today I have a call for $780,000 we're trying to close. So our spectrum's still humongous.
Yeah.
Each project has its things that intrigue, and that's kind of where we're at. We're not your cookie cutter stamped, well-oiled. We do a backyard patio, is 2,000 square feet. Everybody gets the same border and seawall. That's not us.
Yeah. You like, so I'm hearing a lot more of a custom approach. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, when I was thinking about the sales process kind of all week before we got to talk, part of the thing that triggered me was not triggered, but got me my brain going was why are we selling? When you show up, what is the urgency, the need? Why do you have to close this deal, or do you have to? So when I was thinking through that is when I go to a sales consult, I have 2 this afternoon. One's an existing customer, tiny little job, don't care. I like them. We're going to do it. We're going to grade their backyard. It'll take a day, but I like the people and we're just going to do it. And the other one's a little old lady at church I met this Sunday who probably too small for us, but you know what? I know guys we can sub it to or give it to. It's going to be a relationship we're going to start, and you never know where that stuff goes. So why do you sell? That was something that really made me think this week. And, I sell for the company. And if you look in the dictionary, company is got a couple of different definitions, and we rely heavily on the one that you don't think about. So company is an enterprise, a business that creates profit, and company is also the people you surround yourself with. So I sell for our team. business is a byproduct. And that's just kind of like my motivation for sales. And it does get me into some sticky situations and sometimes you're wasting time, but that's ultimately what I go after is people we want to work for and projects we want to do. And it could be a lot of different things.
What I love about that approach is the fact that you're the one choosing.
Yeah.
I know when I first started out, it was, oh, they called me, so I need to figure out a way to how to sell these people because I've got bills to pay.
Yeah.
And those
Oh,
clients are never as fun to work with because they
yeah.
know you're desperate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was definitely year one was a lot of saying yes to a lot of things, but we have a strong reputation, so it's a lot of referrals. So usually if they're calling us, it's pretty much a fit already. They've heard about us, they've looked us up, they want to work with us. We just got to make sure it's in their budget and scope, and that's kind of the process is to kind of weed out those details as fast as possible.
Absolutely. So you said you've about 4 years in business now. What was your revenue last year, if you don't mind me asking?
Last year was company wide was 1.6, and we had to sub out like 200. So self performing was somewhere, 1, 3.5, somewhere in there.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
So tell me about your current sales process now. If I was a client and coming in, like what would I experience? How would it go?
You'd experience 100% of me and whatever that is for the day, or you'd experience Gabe, who we hired, who's well more polished than I am. Um, So we hired a salesman last year, a gentleman I've known for a long time, and we hired him based on character, not on skill, not on knowledge. Although he's been in the industry, he's owned his own company, but everybody on our team we hire because of character 100%. And so a call comes in. Uh, we're in the phase where it still comes right to my cell phone. I'll do a quick vet of the client, like, how'd you hear about us? Brief description of the project. What is your timeline? Because that's schedule is everything for us. And if it's not going to align with our schedule, we're not even going to waste any time on it. And then I just decide if it's a call that I need to go on or if Gabe needs to go on. And that's kind of like the direction it goes. Um, yeah, that's kind of the first point of contact. We do funnel people through the website. If it feels like I need a little more commitment from them, I just point them to the website, they fill out the form, they upload pictures. If they go through that process, at least they've done something,
Mhm.
and then we
Yep.
can go from there.
No, you're exactly right. The more homework you give them and the more involved they are with them, or the more excited they are about working directly with you, the more they're going to get involved
Yep.
in whatever it takes to get you there. And that's a great
Yep.
way to work on your onboarding right away to figure out if they're on it or not. Now, with that process that you have in place so far, if you went out to 10 projects, how many would you close at this point? You're looking for a closing rate roughly.
Oh man. So we don't do a ton of projects a year. I think last year we did 20 some. They're all usually pretty big, and we probably close 70% or better. Yeah, somewhere in there. Yep. The phone's ringing a little more this year. I think our SEO is starting to gain traction. So we're getting some calls that, yeah, there we gotta vet them a little better, but it's a lot of word of mouth. So our close rate is, and I think should be higher.
Yep. No, it's definitely right because you're talking about a lot of word of mouth, and that is the
Yeah.
warmest of leads you're going to get. It's definitely
Yep.
not coming from Facebook and Google and all that stuff.
Right.
When you start getting the onslaught of that, that'll change it a little bit, of course. But
Yep.
no, that's great for sure, man. So, what's something about your current sales process that you think you're like really, really good at?
Oh man, I don't really, really good at not being polished. Um, uh, we'll just call it honestly, it's authentic, and I've had
Yeah.
several clients verbally appreciate that. And
Hmm.
when I think of sales, I think of someone who has it's all together. They're presentable, they're articulate, and that's not always me. But I feel like in a culture today of where Instagram and social, there's a lot of things that aren't real. People appreciate me showing up with some dust on my boots after, 4 or 5 p.m. after the kind of the day, sitting at their table and just listening to them and giving them my ideas. That has definitely taken us a long way on some projects. Um, so I would say what I do well is I can't be fake and I can't sugarcoat things. So you get me. And if your idea is dumb, I'll tell you I think it's dumb.
Now, you mentioned
Yeah.
something there I thought that was interesting is the fact that you said, listen and then share your ideas. So, how exactly do you find is the best way to listen to customers? Because I'm saying this, it might sound like a
Yep.
crazy question, but a lot of contractors don't listen to customers. They come out and dictate. So
Oh,
my
heck
question
no.
to you is,
No.
when did you figure that out, and how do you do it?
Honestly, that's how I wanna be treated. I don't have a lot of experience with salespeople, but when you buy a car, someone come and, replaces your windows or whatever, man, I just don't wanna be talked over. I don't wanna be sold on anything. I want you to hear me and then regurgitate it back so we communicate clearly, and then we can go from there. So I prompt with questions and just let them talk, just let the conversation go where it needs to go for them so they've been heard. And then I'll kind of speak it back, maybe direct them on some ideas that maybe I don't think are great. And then we just kind of go from there. So it's a lot of listening at first, definitely.
Yeah, so important. So talk me through how you brought your new salesperson on and how you transferred. Before we started shooting, we were talking about how do you go? Because this was a struggle of mine too, Alex. It
Yeah.
was, how do I go from being the guy who's been selling forever, the guy who
Yeah.
knows how to do all this, that has a certain, like, that my closing rate wasn't great in the beginning, but it was consistent, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you hand that off to somebody? How have you found is the best effective way to finally go from 0 to 1, or from 1 to 2, however you want to see it? Like, when it comes to having that salesperson, how do you
Yeah.
do that? And how do you sleep at night knowing you're saying the right thing?
We're in the middle of that process, but so at the end of 23, I was spread pretty darn thin. There was just three of us, and we were doing like 1.2, 1.3, me and two other guys, and it was like, something's got to give. I need to hire somebody right now in the field to replace what I do in the field or replace me in the office. First phone call of the person that I feel like should be in our team, I'm taking it. And literally 2 weeks later, this guy who I used to work with, he moved to Maine. He said he's moving back to the area, and I knew it. When I saw the caller ID, right, when I saw that phone call come in, I knew exactly why he called, and I knew we're gonna figure it out. So for me, I just, God showed me the right person at the right time, and there was no question. This is where the role he's going to take from me, and I don't know if it's going to take a year or 3 years, but we're going to figure it out. So we brought him in, and we used Synced Up. A lot of heavy training on the software and estimating side. And what we're literally in the process of learning is, he's a different human being. He can't sell like I sell. He shouldn't have to sell like I sell. He shouldn't read a script. He should be authentic also. It's just a different style. So we don't have a process per se of selling the same, but we do, our process of efficiency is the same. We have the forms, we have the questions we need, we have the data we have to collect. We got to get to a certain, point in the conversation by a certain time, but I don't really care how it gets there. Personalities are different. So yeah, we're definitely in the process of handing off, and I have found that maybe I don't want to hand it all off because I do still like it. So today I'm getting dirty, but today also this evening I'm selling, and he's also estimating today, and then he's going to take over for me in the field. So we have this like interesting symbiotic relationship of he's taking a lot of workload off,
Mhm.
but he also is getting to work in the field, which he liked to do also. So it's a unique situation for us for sure.
I like it. I like it. And one thing you mentioned there that I think is worth repeating is the idea that you weren't hiring him because of a skill set. You weren't looking for a guy with 100 years experience as a salesperson. You were looking for personality,
Oh yeah,
right? I always
yeah,
say we're looking for humble, hungry,
yep,
and smart. If we have
yeah,
those three, we can do
yeah,
just about anything. Like, and they can learn. That's the cool
yeah.
part. Most of them are very open to learning. So you're right. When God lines up the right person, you're like, you know what? You might not have all the prior experience that I would love to see, but you know what? That means we also don't have to fix a lot of problems that you got in the last place, right? We can
Oh
start
yeah,
fresh.
yeah. You can't fix character. I don't have the time to fix character.
Yeah.
Our company shouldn't fix character, so you have to have character, and
Yeah.
everything else is just a process of learning and trial and error. And with
I
the
love
right
it.
people, you'll definitely get there, I believe.
I love it. I love that you've made that move, that you've jumped in, because a lot of guys get stuck as being the owners, and they're doing all the selling, and they're just
Yeah.
like, there's no other way in because they don't trust that other people can do it as well as them. And they shouldn't have to, because everybody, to your point, is unique and different. Now, you do have to have certain things that you move through so that the company is well represented. But in a situation where you're at, where you have um, a lot of referrals coming in, it's a little
Yep.
less pressure. If you're dealing with a lot of Facebook or Google ad
Yes.
leads coming in, then you're going to have to be a lot much more on your game, because it's a
Yeah.
different world. It's a whole lot of different kinds of leads. So,
Yeah.
but you've definitely insulated yourself well with that. So kudos to you
Yeah.
on that.
And to
That's
your to
great.
your point there, the pressure. So one thing we do differently too, and I don't know anybody because I talk to a lot of guys in the industry. Our salesman is not there's zero commission. He gets a salary that makes sure he's okay. We have to put X amount of work in the ground, and we're a team. My biggest fear is with hiring salesmen and putting a carrot or a heavy commission is when there's pressure, they become inauthentic and they sell things they shouldn't sell. Like I don't want that pressure on anybody in our team to make their bread, to just achieve some numbers. That's not what we're about. So that definitely changes the sales process. Like he doesn't, yes, his job is to sell, my job is to sell, but the pressure to close that deal really isn't there. So he can be more authentic, I think.
No, I agree. If your income is directly pegged to how you perform, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it also then takes the relationship side of the way and gets you more focused on revenue, right? Because
Yes.
you're looking
Yeah.
for short term, not for and for you, and I can feel it from you. It's a lot about relationship. Am I right?
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yep.
wouldn't be getting those referrals if it wasn't. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
Yep.
awesome, dude. So, what are some of your struggles that you're currently facing in your sales process right now?
So struggles in the sales process is literally just this transition from I think I want to take 80% of the sales off my plate and put onto his plate. And the communication of doing that with somebody, it's just different. It's just I've never done it. I don't have this pedigree or history of excellent sales. I've only really been doing it for 3 years. So I already feel inadequate to train him, but I can get it done. So, it's some tough conversations and some learning. But like I said, with the right people, like everybody bears that on their shoulders and we will push through it. So my biggest struggle is how to let go
Mm,
100%.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, it's fear driven.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. If you let go and things happen, and you're like, if I was just there doing it, it wouldn't have happened. But the problem is, you're
Right.
also going to be stuck there forever.
Yeah.
Just like a
Yep.
child, if you're like, nope, nope, sorry, you're crawling, you're fine at that. But if you stand up and walk and get hurt, I can't handle that. So you're always going to crawl, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
that's just not how
Yeah.
it's going to work. That child's going to walk.
Yep.
So you're going to have to just get used to that as a parent, right? And it's a lot of times the role that we play in this scenario, right? But I mean, we actually have this conversation quite often with companies that are looking to go from owner to finally bringing salespeople in and all of that. And how do you make that transition? And how do I multiply myself? Right, that's always the bigger question. How do I make sure that they're saying the right things at the right time and getting budgets and not just getting through the sales conversation and all of that? So
Yeah.
that's why we've created all the systems in order to be able to do that and to
Yep.
know that as an owner, you'd be like, hey, just go train with these guys. They'll take care of it. You'll come back in a few weeks and you're going to be like, all right, cool. I'm ready to roll. I got it. I know I'm going to say this is basically what you're doing. You understand different tonalities, different authenticities, if you will, but at the same time, you can rest assured that everything's being touched every single time
Yep.
to build up that referral machine, because that's ultimately the goal, isn't it?
Yep. Definitely.
Yeah.
And we're not driven for growth. We will grow at the speed of sales and cash. And, you know, that's not our goal. We'll grow till it doesn't make sense. But it's not a goal. It's not a something we're chasing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good, man. So what's on the horizon for you? What are you up to next?
So up next, we had every year we have one or two insane custom projects, and we're in the middle of one right now. So we're gonna wrap this up in a couple weeks. It's a stone truck it's a complete box or a Moffett truck, like delivery truck out of stone. It's 10 feet tall, 40 some feet long. It'll have lights. It's pretty awesome. So we're gonna get that wrapped up,
All right, so hold
and
on a
then
second. Let me understand this. Take me through this a little bit slower. So you're actually building a truck out of stone? Did I hear that right?
go check the last reel on Instagram. Yeah. Um, so end of last year, actually, our sales kind of died off, and everything happens for a reason. And I just have to accept that and just roll with what happened. So, after Thanksgiving, we kind of wrapped up all of our big projects, and then we had some big ones on the hook, and no one pulled the trigger. So had some time last year, and one of our vendors we have a great relationship with asked for some display walls. Well, yeah, we'll go do that, and it morphed into this project that's, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's truly ridiculous and awesome, and it'll be a landmark next to a highway, and my grandkids will see it. We're literally building a like a block truck, a delivery truck, completely out of stone. and it'll have lights on it. And I mean, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, we just chiseled 44-inch tires that weigh about a ton and a half each.
Dude, all right, before we go too far so the listeners can see this, what
Yeah.
is your handle on Instagram so they can go and see it?
Inca_Stone.
Inca_Stone. All right, guys, listeners, go out and take a look. Not if you're driving, pull over first, but
Yeah.
Inca_Stone. This thing is going to be amazing.
Yeah. So that this year, that was like, in the last year, we did a wild custom paver pull, kind of Tussy style, which is like a bunch of Techo block products. Like it was pretty interesting. But yeah, we'll finish. Yeah, every year is something different. Finish the truck, and then we have our first commercial project this year is the Pittsburgh Zoo. We got the 14,000 square feet of pavers at the entrance, so we're kind of dipping our foot into that. And another one, that's just a relationship. We did a project for the general contractor, awesome guy, and we'll just see where this leads us. So that's what's next.
I'd love for us to wrap up. You got some great stuff going on. I'd love for you to wrap up on that concept of how you're focusing on relationships and where that's taking you versus just the revenue side of things. I can tell your heart that you're a relationship guy. So tell me how that's impacted your business.
Oh my gosh. Like, how hasn't it impacted my business? We're on planet Earth for a short time. Revenue will follow relationships. I don't think you seek relationships to generate revenue. Yeah, the gold in our days are meeting people, hearing their stories, asking what they do, looking at their, having relationships with their grandkids, their in-laws, experience life through their eyes. We make money. We're pretty good at being efficient and profitable, but that, like, man, it probably sounds whatever, but like, who cares? Like, really, who cares? Let's have good lives and take care of our families, but also impact other people, just have relationships, because you can't buy that. So yeah, that's probably the coolest part about sales, is the ability to create new relationships with people you would never have the opportunity to meet. Yeah. And as long as they're rooted in a foundation of trust and authenticity and character and all the, good ethics, like, that's a real relationship. If it's rooted in, I got to get this sale because I got to meet a quota, well, a relationship is rooted on not much.
Yeah, not the truth, right? And you don't show up the same way when you're looking at their wallet and not their heart.
Yeah. Yeah. When we get an address, like places I used to work before would Google and try to figure out what they did for a living. I don't care. I want to see how you shake my hand. What's important to you? Are you going to smile during, or are you just mad that, your spouse wants this backyard? Like, who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes a difference, man.
Definitely.
Well, Alex, do you have any parting wisdom you want to give our listeners before you go? Maybe something you learned along the way, or some sage in your life has given you that has helped direct you through this journey?
Yeah, I think I said this before on another podcast. Like, if you just operate out of good character and ethics, things will fall into place. The second you take a shortcut, or try to find an easier route, you're gonna reap what you sow.
Yeah.
So I would just encourage everybody to take the harder but honorable road.
Amen to that, brother. I love it. Well, Alex, thanks for coming on today. This was a great conversation. I'd love to talk to people like yourself and see how you're doing out there, especially springtime. So I appreciate you coming on and spending your most precious asset, your time. So listeners out there, if you're looking to go from being an independent owner into bringing a salesperson in, and you don't have time to train those people, that's what we do here best. So reach out, book a call with me. You'll see it in the show notes. But until next week, Alex, appreciate you. Get out there and get dirty so you can go to those meetings tonight and shake some more hands and change some lives.
That's it, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you.